What you're about to hear has never been released until now. This episode is part of our exclusive Vault series, a limited release of live recordings that have been curated with care and reserved for this exclusive unveiling. I'm joined by my husband, Sunny, and we're bringing you stories packed with insight, heart, and energy. We're thrilled to offer you a front row seat to these powerful conversations.
As pleasant as they are, they were a surprise. Okay.
Oh, they definitely were.
Yeah.
Well, not all three. Our son was not a surprise, but our son was 18 when we found out we were pregnant with the twin girls.
Wow. Welcome to Empowered Living. I'm Ann Shu. On this podcast, innovative leaders and visionary experts share insights and practical tools for work, family, and marriage. Each episode, we'll explore how to elevate your life while staying grounded in what truly matters to you. You're working hard to navigate relationships, build a thriving family, and create a legacy of purpose. We're here to help you do that with confidence and intentionality. Welcome to today's episode of Empowered Living. Our guests are David and Jennifer Randall. They are current participants in Empowered Families. They've been married for 43 years, and we had an incredible conversation with them today about all of the ups and downs in their marriage and what it's taken to really build a healthy, strong marriage that's lasted 43 years. What are some of your favorite takeaways from the episode?
Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of ground. Spaghetti brains to choking to healthy communication skills, as well as a focus, me for us focus that has kind of been a key to their relationship.
Yeah. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to Empowered Living. We're so excited you're here. Today we have David and Jennifer Randall with us, and we are so excited for you guys to hear about their story. Hi, David and Jennifer.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you doing today?
We're great. How are you guys?
Doing well,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you
Doing
guys
well.
for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited to chat with you guys.
And we're excited to be here as well.
Yep. So tell everybody about your family, your life, give them a little bit of background on who you are and about your family life and how long you guys have been married and your kids.
How long have we been married?
On
Pop quiz.
A test,
You didn't know.
November the 22nd, we celebrated our 43rd
Congratulations.
anniversary.
Thank you.
So we were excited about that. We had family over, and it was Thanksgiving anyway, so
Yeah.
we just kind of included them in our celebration. Even though we haven't formally celebrated together yet.
It's coming. Don't worry.
It's coming.
Jennifer.
Yeah, it's coming.
I got you.
So I'm excited about that. It's just the opportunity.
You don't know. That's why we invited you here, so that we could help you plan for the party. Yeah.
Wow. And I love surprises.
What about your kids? Tell us about your kids.
Well, we have three. We have a boy and two girls. Well, a young man and two young women. Our son is 38 and our girls are 20. Soon to be 21.
Twins.
Yes, twin girls.
Nice.
Yes.
And as pleasant as they are, they were a surprise. Okay.
Oh, they definitely were.
Yeah.
Well, not all three. Our son was not a surprise, but our son was 18 when we found out we were pregnant with the twin girls.
Wow. Y'all were about to be empty nesters.
Yes.
Exactly. And we had already
literally
started
started
planning
over.
stuff and
Oh,
just we were just gonna have fun with life, and it's like
We were still young at the time.
yeah, but that was one of the greatest things in our lives, and it was one of the most intense moments, of our lives as well. So the stuff that they went through coming out of the hospital, they were born very early. So, we had a lot of stuff, and that actually allowed us to have time to bond together more because we were spending so much time focusing and wishing them well and praying for them until it drew our relationship closer together as well. So sometimes, adversities will have that effect on you. The stuff you go through will help you come together and help you get through it better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The thing is, we never know why certain things happen and why we have to go through certain things, but it's the gift that comes out of that you focus on that makes you better.
Yeah, absolutely.
For moving forward.
Yeah, like stuff not happening to you, but happening for you.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And then even the stuff that happens to you is not always something for you so that you can help somebody else go through it. And that's some of the stuff that we've learned in our lives, some of the, just crazy stuff that we've gone through. We're able to help other couples get through it now.
Absolutely.
So that's what our focus is, to transition the light off of us and put it on somebody else to say, hey, if we can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest part of it.
What are some of those, the crazy things that you said you went through? Some of the things that seemed really hard in the moment, but there was something really beautiful on the other side of it.
Well, one of the things is sometimes when, and I'm not the talker, she's the talker.
Yeah. Keep telling us that. We'll start to believe it, maybe.
But one of the things is when you're building business, sometimes your focus can get off of each other.
Yeah.
You can just be hard focused on what it is that you need to achieve in your business. And then, things start to grow apart and you have a little gap between there. That's one of the things that we went through, and we figured out that we had to be more intentional about our relationship. We had to figure out, I had to go back and see, okay, what is it that she likes again? I had to learn her all over again, but it just didn't come to me. I had to make an effort to do it. So that was the thing.
It had to be done on purpose.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen by just happenstance.
Yeah.
This is something that you have to work towards. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to marriage, when it comes to business. You have to work at those things and make sure that you're planning for those things and doing them on purpose. And he was talking about, things from the business side of things, but it also works with the personal side of things within your marriage. You have to be intentional about what you're doing. Be intentional about your relationship. Be mindful of the things that you want out of your relationship and what you're willing to do to make those things happen.
Did you guys have a big wake-up call, or how did you know that you needed to do something differently from how you were operating? How did you know that it was time to start being intentional about the relationship?
Well, I think we had come to a point to where, we were at a crossroads. It was, you go your way, I go my way, you go your way. And we got to that point and we decided, okay, I need some help, you need some help. So I went and did some counseling, to make myself better. I needed counseling. So I went and did some counseling, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm okay with that, So that helped me get better. And the more I sought to make myself better, the more value I could see in her. So that helped me out a lot. And just like I said, even now, sometimes I catch myself a bit from business side losing traction in my relationship. And then when that hits, I say, okay, I need to cut back over here and, put some more. Now, one of the things that we did early in our marriage, but she's the talker. I want to keep re-emphasizing it. But it's funny because I hear a lot of things in my mind as I'm going along, and I'm not crazy. But one of the things that we did early on in our marriage is every Friday or Saturday night, before we had kids or anything, we would sit up and just talk about our life, our aspirations, our past. This was a ritual every Friday night. So what I think we were doing, we were investing into our relationship before we had to, make any withdrawals. So when the withdrawal time came, we had invested enough that we had something, and we may have only had a little bit left in there, but we still had something in there enough to say, okay, I'm not leaving you. And if you decide you want to leave me, pack me a bag, because wherever you go, I'm going also.
You
can get rid of him.
So basically we took, and divorce is not a crazy word, but we took that off of the table. When you take that off of the table, man, in my opinion, it re-secures everybody in the relationship. My mom tells me all the time, or she used to tell me, she's still living, but she lives in Florida, but she used to tell me all the time, no two people are ever going to always get along. She said your teeth and your tongue don't ever get along. Have you ever bitten your tongue with your teeth? They don't ever get along. So, hey, that's just part of it. Yeah.
Now, let me tell you the truthful version of it.
Please.
He thought that we were going to be going our separate ways. He go his way, I go my way. He just didn't realize that he's in it for the long haul. I wasn't letting go. I had a death grip on, so I wasn't letting go. But the thing is we have to realize, a lot of times that when we're looking at our spouse and we're looking at what they are doing that they shouldn't be doing, or looking at what they're not doing that they should be doing, it just, we forget about ourselves. And I tell people all the time, a lot of times, in most cases, we have to be the change that we want to see. And I remember praying.
Nobody wants to hear that, though.
Exactly. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to accept it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to receive it and look at it and say, okay, you know what? You're right. They won't do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Same. To be perfectly honest with you. I was fighting that thing. I said, I'm not the one that's doing wrong.
Yeah.
This man, you sent me, God.
Yeah.
So I'm praying and praying and praying about this man, what he's doing that he shouldn't be doing, what he's not doing that he should be doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, God, make him do right.
Yeah.
But God put in my spirit, so you want me to make him do right and do things according to what I've called him to do, but what are you doing as his wife? Are you doing everything that you're supposed to be doing? So that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, whoa, okay. So I started working on myself. And when I started working on myself and started growing from within, then I started seeing him differently. But that was just the beginning, because as I started growing and I started doing things and approaching things intentionally, he started noticing that. So we had a conversation one day, and he wasn't quite sure what I was doing because he thought we were going our separate ways. And I looked at him and I told him, I said, well, you know what? I said, I'm just working on being a better wife for you. And he said nothing else.
I mean, what could I say? What could I say? I mean, that changed the whole perspective there of our relationship for me, that she thought enough of me to work on her for us. And that just blew me away. Now, Sonny and I had talked once before, and one of the things that I love that he does, and we have to start doing this more and doing it intentionally, is getting me time. Men don't do that so much. My wife goes to Hawaii with her sister. She goes to here. Her sister's coming back next month for her birthday, so they're going to spend time there. And I love that. And I love that. But, sometimes men are so focused on what it is that we have to do or that we feel like we have to do. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So one of the notes that I got from Sonny when we had our conversation was, I got to figure out a way to have some me time. And then hobbies. Hobbies are awesome. So my wife told me about a month ago, 2 months ago, something.
A couple of months ago.
She said, what type of hobbies do you have? I said, hobbies? Who has time for hobbies? So,
well, because he used to have hobbies when, early on in our marriage, but somewhere along the line, he just kind of forgot that he had hobbies. And I've been trying to get him to focus on things that he enjoyed doing for himself.
And that's funny because, when you're away from something, even in a relationship, when you're away from something for so long, you not just forget about it, but you forget about how to do it, so, and it's not the technical aspect, it's the mental aspect of how to do it. We've talked to couples a lot of times that haven't been intimate or just haven't had conversation, and one of the processes that we do, my wife has them to go through a game that we kind of put together, a touch and feel, a conversation game, no sex, nothing like that. I can say sex, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just being intimate.
Yeah.
I call it an expedition. So they have to go on an expedition to explore each other. And, because unfortunately, a lot of times couples get to a point where they're fearful of asking their spouse, what do you like? Yeah. How do you like to be touched? Yeah. Does this feel good to you? Does that feel? But then the other one is afraid to say, I don't like that. Yeah. I like this better. Yeah. So we just send them on an expedition. I tell them, I said, now whatever happens while you're exploring, that's on you. But sometimes we have to do that and revisit because our desires change. Yeah. The things that we like last year, this year may be different. Yeah. I may like to try something else. I may like this instead of that. Yeah. So we just have couples to go through that exercise and just kind of reconnect, physically, emotionally, and sexually with each other.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
But there's
absolutely.
also another thing that we do every now and then, but you have to be really, really ready to do it. And that is to do a check-in, but it's not a general check-in. The first time I asked my husband, I said, David, I said, I need to talk to you for a minute.
Oh,
Men hate it when you use those words. Hate it. And you like that, you like that, right? So he sat down, and I have to do it that way so that he'll know, okay, this is a serious matter, all jokings aside. So I asked him the first time I did it, it scared him so bad. I said, I want to know, what is it in our relationship that I'm doing that you don't want me to do, you feel that I shouldn't be doing, or what is it that I'm not doing that I should be doing? And he looked at me, and it's like he just kind of,
is this a trick question? Like, you want the real answer, or you want?
You can see his body language just kind of like. And I told him, I said, I'm not starting an argument. I honestly need to know where I'm falling short. So we talked about it, and he told me some things, and they were so hard to hear. And I told him, I said, this is not a time for, me to rebuttal, because whatever you tell me, I'm going to take it and I'm going to work on myself. So I tell people, when you ask your spouse that, make sure that you're ready to hear the answer.
Right.
And you don't ask that so that you could say, well, that's only because you did this. Or it's only because, well, if you didn't do this, then I wouldn't do. No, you take what they give you and you work on yourself.
So most of the time, if you rebuttal that way, you're giving them more power over you, and what you're trying to do is capture your own self, trying to capture your own power so that you can improve yourself. Yeah, basically. So
how often do you guys do that check-in?
Not very often. We don't have.
She frightens me when she does.
We don't have a set time to do it, like every month or every quarter or anything like that. It's just usually when I initiate it is when I feel like, okay, so there's a little disconnection going on. So that's usually when I just kind of reel it in and say, okay, we need to revisit this.
Yeah. And then do you guys give each other the feedback, or is it only?
It's only the person that's asking the question. It's receiving it. So if I'm asking him, I don't, like I said, I don't go behind him and say, okay, well, the reason I do this or the reason I'm not doing this, I just take everything that he's saying. I process it. And like I said, it's never easy to hear. Nobody wants to hear that they're not doing good, you know. So, but I take it and I use that to work on me for us.
And I mean, communication is king. You got to be able to talk to one another. And sometimes that's not always easy. And I think one of my favorite sayings, and when we do some of our classes, I always tell people that you want to speak to somebody in a way that will encourage them to listen to you. But the listener has a responsibility to listen to the speaker in a way that will encourage the speaker to speak to them. So communication is huge. And you think just because somebody's talking that you're communicating, communication for me is all about understanding.
Communicating effectively.
Effective communication is all about understanding. And, basically, if there's no understanding, to me, there's no communication, so that's big. That's huge for me. Yeah, it sure is. And we've done communication classes for
communication conflict.
Conflict.
Since before we had the girls.
20 some years, communication and conflict. We've done classes on those for years. And we try to teach people how to fight a good fight. One that's a win-win. Because
my grandmother used to tell me all the time when we were kids growing up, there's no such thing as a fair fight. You win anyway.
Throw down.
I had to forget all of that. I had to just, forget that I know all of that. Okay. So there is a such thing as a fair fight.
And then go back to communication. There are different communication styles. My wife is a detailed person. I'm not. I'm a headlines person. You know, she's got to give me all the details. Whoa. Too much.
Because you're the talker, Jennifer, that's why.
because I'm not the talker, right? So I said, whoa. Okay, give me the headlines. And you know, because
he's being nice. He was never that nice about it. I would be talking, trying to explain something, and you know what he would say? Babe, I don't want to know how the clock is made. I just want to know what time.
Yeah, so I had to learn. I don't do that quite as much anymore. So, but she's also paid enough attention to me to learn that, hey, if I give him all of these details, I'm going to lose him. So let me give him the headlines. And then if he asks for the details, then I can come back and give him the details. So, you know, and I come to the conclusion that men and women certainly think differently. So that's one of the things that I've really got to understand, that everything in ladies' minds is really connected. And I think I've used a scenario about a bowl of spaghetti. You know, if you put a bowl of spaghetti together, it's like a lady's mind. Everything in there is connected. Every noodle is touching another noodle that's touching another noodle that's touching. So if you say something on this side of the bowl, it can trigger something all on the other side of the bowl because all of the noodles are connected.
All those wet noodles. Yeah.
So
what's the guy?
The guys are like waffles. The guys' minds are like waffles. You know, waffles have divots in there. And it's easy for us to take a situation and put it in a divot and walk away from it. We've dealt with it. You know, we've compartmentalized it, like, right. And we'll have all these little divots over here. And most of the time we're able to keep them from tracking back and crossing over because we think we've dealt with them, but we really haven't. You know, they're just sitting over here in this little pocket, you know, of the waffle. So, you know, that's the way, you know, I kind of summarize that. And I'm being nice about it.
It's true, though, if you think about it, with a couple, let's say they're in, I hate to say arguments, and a heated conversation. And you're feeling some kind of way about what it is, whatever it is you're disagreeing about in that heated conversation, that passionate conversation. Yeah. Well, when you go to bed, the wife is normally still upset for, don't touch me, don't look at me, move your foot. But the man is like, well, baby, you know, that ain't got nothing to do with that. You know, so it's like, no.
I think we're married to the same person.
I'm just thinking.
The husband has already compartmentalized that somewhere else. So now he's over here when whatever it was that passionate conversation was about is over there. Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, that was so interesting. I don't know where I saw that at, but it's just that it was just so true to form. You know, the more I sat back and paid attention, you know, it's so true to form. So what I did on this bowl was try not to make anything on this side of the bowl interact. I have to be more intentional about, you know, what I'm doing, you know. So that's all a good part of it. It sure is.
I want to go back to, I think, Jennifer, where you said me for us. Like, I need to work on me for us. I love that because and this is a simplistic model, but I always think, like, in relationship, I mean, either in spouses or even friendships or other relationships, it's like every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so if you want to influence the other, it's like, if you influence yourself, you'll change the reaction from the other side.
Absolutely.
As well. So how, and it's not always so quick and apparent when we work on ourselves or the little things we do. So how would you encourage someone who is new to that concept to adopt that mindset and to be patient for the results to come? Because the results could be 1 week, could be 1 month, could be 1 year. Like, I mean, like.
Well, the thing is when you change your mindset to thinking along those lines, you're doing it for you because you need to change who you are on the inside. What's going to happen is going to affect your relationship, your marriage. So you're doing it to you for the relationship, but the change itself is not the relationship. The change is how you approach different situations. It's how you look at them, how you react to them. So the change is not going to be seen immediately, but as long as you know, man, last week, I'd have cussed his so-and-so out. I would have told him this and that and the other. And then you realize, okay, but this week, I didn't say anything. I let him have that one. So that in itself is encouragement to let you know that growth is taking place. Now, often we look to our spouses for that affirmation, that edification, that I see you, I see the change in you, but that's not going to always come right away. So you've got to be able to notice that change within yourself and know that as long as it continues, they're going to notice it as well.
Yeah. And that's good, because I noticed it, but I was suspicious because of, where we were. I'm serious. I mean, I was suspicious. Okay, so.
And like you said, he didn't notice it right away.
I noticed it. I'm thinking, okay, so what's her motive? That's what my mindset was. Why she's doing this? What does she want? What does she need? So I'm looking for something. So when there was no ask, there was nothing. She was doing it just because. Then I'm thinking, okay, well, there's no other motive other than, she's looking out for us. So that caused me to change. And I think maybe because I wanted to, and my mind was focused on how can I get better? How can we get better? When I saw her doing some things, and then after we had our conversation, while I'm working on me for us, then, okay, well, if you can work on you for us, I can work on me for us. So that's what we did, basically. And we've enjoyed life. We are enjoying life. And most of the couples that know us, they call us the grown and sexy people.
So how do you prevent yourself from slipping into a place of like, well, I'm doing all this work for us. What are you doing? Right? Like, how do you prevent yourself from expecting the other person to do the same work that you're doing if that other person isn't?
It does get difficult in feeling like, man, I'm doing all of this and you ain't doing crap. It's like you just getting up, going to work, and that's it. That's when it's time to have those hard conversations, have the effective communication going on, because he's not going to just automatically know what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. When things are going good, a lot of times.
I don't know, but Sonny knows how to read my mind.
While things are going good, when things are going very well, a lot of times they can finish our sentences. They pretty much know what we're thinking. They'll bring us, like the other night, he brought me a glass of wine. And it was like, how'd you know I wanted a glass of wine? But that's not going to always be the case. So it's okay to talk to them and let them know what it is you're feeling inside. Okay, so I feel like, we, kind of have some gray areas that we need to work on that's a little bit shaky. I'm feeling like this, and when this is taking place, it makes me feel this way. The thing you don't want to do is start pointing a finger saying, you make me feel this way. And when you do this, you're causing this and this and this and, all this ripple effect. Because then the other person, the other spouse is going to become defensive. And before you know it, you're arguing. And when the argument gets so high, you don't even remember what you're arguing about. So keep the focus on whatever the situation is. And when you talk about that situation, if it starts to get a little heated, go back to what the main topic is. And it's okay to say, you know what, we're getting a little passionate about it. Let's kind of table this and come back to it, later on this afternoon or later on this evening.
But do come back to it.
Definitely.
That's important that, because, once you do that a couple of times and you never get back to it, then you start losing the credibility in the whole.
And then it becomes another lump under the rug.
Right. Jennifer was saying, keeping the main thing when you're having a heated discussion. I tell people all the time, I remember our son must have been about 3, 4, 5 years old or something like that. We sat in a parking lot at Walmart arguing, yelling to the top of our voices. She was going to win. I was going to win. She was going to win. I was going to win.
I won.
Neither one of us knew what we were arguing about. After a point, we just, okay, what are we arguing about? I don't know. Okay. But we were still mad at each other.
And I still won.
No, you didn't win that. I won. And you said something about expectations. You have to be careful about setting expectations, because that limits your ability to appreciate who the other person is. So you want to be able to appreciate them, but when you put expectations on them, then you put them in a box in your mind, but that's not who they are.
Yeah.
So you want to, you can express what you thought, might have happened, but try not to, limit them to just what's going on in your mind, because they can't read. Well, Sonny can read your mind. Most of the time they can't read mine. So, but it does set a limitation on the ability to appreciate who the person really is. It really is.
Indeed.
And I learned that in business. We had a staffing agency for several years. So I ran it. I was running it. Thursday nights, I had electrical business, staffing agency, and was general manager of a warehouse for some guys out of Jersey City all at one time. But I've always had a lot of energy, always, even now. And I'm a little bit older, but I still have a lot of energy.
If you're not older, you're just well seasoned.
So I was just going. And finally said, okay, you need to stop working. I need you to come home and help me with this. So she said, okay, when do you want me to, like last week? So anyway, she quit her job, came home, and I said, okay, you have this staffing agency. And she did an amazing job at running it. But I was used to doing things a certain way. So I set expectations in my mind on how things should be. And it wasn't until I really kind of removed myself out of the way until, the business started going up and, we were getting contract after contract. I'm thinking, okay, well, but the thing is even though I removed myself out of the way, she always seemed to doubt herself. And I would find myself just going in continuously encouraging her. No, that's great. That's a good idea. You did a great job. She said, I don't know why I second guess myself. I said, I don't either. You always have great ideas. And I guess someplace in life, I learned that she did have good ideas. But so I'm thankful for that. Now there are things that we won't even do unless, we have that discussion, Business wise, we haven't fully learn how to always work together well, but it's a process.
That's because he won't listen.
Yeah, it's a process, but it's we're doing better. Because when she ran the staffing agency, unless it was time to fire somebody or something, because we had a lot of our employees spoke Spanish and she didn't speak Spanish and I did, so I was the one who had to go and do the termination and she never bothered with me with the electrical contracting business. I was fine with that. So last year she told me, well, I'm ready to stop working again. Okay, so I say, well, okay.
Oh, have mercy, I remembered it to be so different. Go ahead.
And
we'll come to you in a second.
And then she said, I'm gonna quit working and all you got to do is pay me X amount of dollars a week. I'm going to be on your payroll. I can help you run your business. I said, okay. So I was willing to try it. But, like I said, it's a work in progress. We're trying to get it worked out. Now, what do you remember?
It took us years to get on the same page with how we met. And he's having the same issue with this situation here. Now, it was last year. I was working from home. And quite frustrated with what I was doing, but still doing it. And he came home because he would always call me, what are you doing? I need you to do such and such. Well, I can't do it right now. I'm working, I'm doing phone calls, or I'm out doing home visits, unable to do it. So he came home and he said, I know you have your job. I know what you do is important. He said, but I really need help.
I don't remember that.
He said, I need help.
It's not even close, y'all.
He said, I need help with setting appointments. Do you not remember that? And I need help with doing my invoices. I said, okay, let's talk. So that evening we talked, and because I had already had it worked out in my head. So I did tell him.
She already knew.
I did. I did tell him that I can come home and work for him, and I told him it doesn't even have to be a full salary. You can just give me an allowance, and that way I'll still be able to do my upkeeps, get my hair cut, and get my nails done, and all of this stuff. So he says, and he processed it. He says, okay, I can have that. I can do that. I said, okay, cool. The problem with it was that he had a hard time letting go.
Because I had expectations of how it should be.
Right. So I'm trying to tell him, that's why I say he just wouldn't listen to me. Okay, well, if you do this and jot this down, when you bring it home, I'll know for the next morning all that I need to do as far as doing the quotes, doing the invoicing, whatever needs to be done. And he did allow me to do it that way for a short while, but he had to put his hands right back on it. He had a problem letting go.
Well, that's just who I am. That's just who I am. And that, again, is because I have set aside a certain, set of expectations in my mind of how it should go. My wife tells me all the time, you wake up in the morning talking business. It takes me a minute to wake up and process life. But you jump right up. Okay, well, I got to do this, and this. But I've always been that way.
But wait, that's fine for him. Mm-hmm. But when you're including me, there's a problem. Because, we've got a system here. Yeah. Because I wake up, good morning. I'm telling God, Lord, thank you for this day. I'm washing up. Give me some coffee. We can chat. Give me my coffee. I wake up. I say, good morning. Babe, we need to do so and so and so. I'm looking at him like, what?
You're like still in bed.
I'm learning though. I'm learning that. So I've gotten just a little bit better. So I see myself.
Maybe you've gotten a lot better.
I see myself working on me so I'm getting better. And what do you mean our story about how we met? But before I get into that, before she gets in that, and then I'll give the real story. I just want to say this.
What?
No. Go ahead and tell us. I'll come
what
back.
do you want to say? Well, why don't you tell the story how we met?
So her grandmother, and I love her grandmother, when she was living, that was my girl. I would go by their house every evening because I was in the insurance business then. I would go by their house almost every evening. My parents lived around the corner, and I was just kind of be in the neighborhood. So one day I was next door to the neighbor's house. And this one right here jumps out of the car, runs in the house real fast, runs back out. And I stopped. I said, hey, do you live over there? Because I've been coming to her grandmother's house all the time, but I've never seen her. And she said, yeah. I said, you're going to have trouble out of me. So she said something under her voice. What did you say under your voice?
I won't give you trouble.
So we went. I mean, I was very interested. I wanted to pursue the relationship. So I started sending messages through her grandmother. They say there are several ways to communicate. Telephone,
be very careful.
Telephone, telegram, and tell a grandmother. So I told grandmother everything that I wanted her to know. So every evening but the thing is, her grandmother thought I was talking about her sister. Mm-hmm. So I guess her sister and I grew up together, but I never knew her. We were in elementary school together, and but
I'm the youngest of four, and my oldest sister is up with him.
So I would tell grandmother every day something, and every day she would go back and report it, and here I am today.
Maybe it took over 40 years, but you finally got that story right. Finally got it right.
That's so sweet.
But that was in June or July.
We met in June, got engaged in July, and married in November.
Wow.
The same year. 43 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell a grandma didn't send it to the wrong sister?
No, well, it got clarified.
The thing is, before she realized what granddaughter he was talking about, he would go by and he would talk to her. And my sister came home from work early one day. She said she told him, well, there's my granddaughter right there. You can tell her for yourself. And she said he looked at her and said, Angela? No, I know her. I'm not talking about her. Well, my other sister was married, so she knew he wasn't talking about her. And she said, Jennifer? You talking about Jennifer? So from that point on, every day grandmother was calling me at work, telling me, well, David stopped by and he said, and we talked about, and he said he and ate. She wouldn't let him get out of the house without eating. Yes, she believed in feeding people. Yeah. But yeah, she played Cupid, and I knew that she loved him because she broke one of her number one rules. Oh, yeah, he didn't tell y'all this part. Our first date, he stood me up.
David.
Why you got to bring that up?
Stood me up. And
After all that work?
Yeah.
That's like the other end of the spaghetti. Right?
Exactly. That's exactly what that is. That's good. Thank you, Sonny.
So my grandmother's number one rule, well, it was two. If you're going to have company, he has to be in the house when 10 o'clock hit, not coming up on the porch, not knocking on the door, inside already when 10 o'clock hits. Her second rule was you do not entertain company in your night clothes. If you're going to have company, you get up and you put clothes on. Yes, ma'am. So the night that he stood me up, we were supposed to go to dinner. And he worked hard on getting me to say, yes, I will go on a date with him. And I rushed home from work, took a bath, did my hair in curlers and everything. And something to say, okay, don't get dressed yet. I had my makeup on. Time was getting late. I washed my face, put the rollers back in my hair. I went to bed. So I hear a knock on the door. I knew it was him. I said, I'm not getting up to answer the door. My grandmother goes and answers the door. And she comes to my room and she says, Jennifer, she said, David is up here to see you. I said, Grandma, I'm not going to see him. She said, well, he want to talk to you. I said, I don't want to talk to him. I'm not getting up. I told her, I said, I'm already in bed with my night clothes on and I'm not getting up to put on no clothes for him. She picked up my robe and she tossed it at me. She said, put that robe on and come see what this man wants. Yes, ma'am. So, of course, he gives me some story about what. Do you remember what the story was?
I have no idea.
He was helping a friend move.
That's probably what it was.
So
That's what it was.
My thing was, so you couldn't take out 2 minutes to call me and say, hey, let's reschedule. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm helping a friend move. I didn't buy it.
I didn't have cell phones back then.
I know, right. There you go. No cell phones.
He didn't know how to use that. He only knew how to do telegrandmother. You know?
I guess so.
He didn't know how to use telephone.
So.
And you know, the friend was just moving into his apartment, so his phone hadn't been turned on. I don't, who knows? But that goes back to that bowl of, spaghetti, because I didn't remember it. Most of that I didn't. But, I'm thankful for the bowl of spaghetti, because sometimes it reminds me of stuff that I forget that I need to remember. So, I'm just excited. We have an amazing life, I think, together. Is it perfect? No, but it's perfect for us, and I'm telling you, the especially the people at church, they think like I said, they think we're the bad couple. Oh, the Randalls, no, don't talk about sex around them, because they're nasty. We were in a marriage retreat. We were in a marriage retreat one time talking about stuff like, intimacy. Intimacy. And the guys, they were talking, just trading, not secrets, but trading dialogue. And we were talking about, in marriage, what's allowable and what's not allowable. And we always tell people, whatever each one of you is comfortable with is allowable. If one's not comfortable, you shouldn't do it.
Right.
If both people are comfortable. And somehow it came up that, now, this may or may not happen. I'm going to put this disclaimer out there right now. But how is choking when you're having sex? Do we have, are they... We're good. Okay, the audience is
all little kids. We're gonna watch this.
That's what I was worried about. And so ever since then, I think we've had that title.
And I'm telling y'all are the naughty. Y'all are the naughty ones.
Right.
The lady next to me, she said, "I told you, wink if you were in trouble."
I think they were from Arizona, so we have people come up from all around the country to the retreats that we're fortunate enough to be a part of. And I mean, we had just met them, and the lady got up from the table. She just laughed when we started talking about choking. But we just have fun, you got to. Yeah. And you got to remember, to me, that neither one of you are perfect, and as long as you keep that, there's always room for growth. And we just enjoy the time that we get to spend together. We really do.
So one thing I'm noticing is, like, just you. Both of you go on these learning journeys together. Like, you're attending retreats, you're in empowered families, you're working on you, you're working on you. So what would you say to a couple where one of couple might be like, oh, well, I'm interested in self-development and growth, learning and growth, but my partner is not. So what's the, like, how do you align there on the learning and growth journey between spouses?
Well, the thing is, you can't force the other person to do something that they don't want to do. But if my spouse doesn't want to partake of this, but I do, then I will go for my own growth. And whatever I learn is going to be for my growth, but I can still apply it to my relationship. Will it be stronger if both attend? Definitely. But if only one attend, that's better than neither of them attending.
And then she said something earlier about, being the change that you want to see. That's huge. It's always more effective when we can get both people to go. But a lot of times when one of the spouses doesn't want to go, there's some underlining
reason.
Yeah, real good reason that they don't want to go. I don't want to say they undervalue or don't place value on the relationship. They may be undervaluing it for right now. And so for me, it's like, if I can do anything to increase the value, even and especially if it means me doing me the best that I can do me, if I can give value to our relationship by becoming more valuable, then that will encourage the other person to start looking at me in a different way, and then looking at our relationship in a different way. So I think that's the biggest thing, just being the best you can be, being the best you can be. Yeah, sure can.
How have you guys, I don't like to use the word balance because I don't really feel like you can ever really be in balance, but how have you used the business to serve your family's needs and goals and not let the business consume? How do you figure out, like, today the business really needs me, tomorrow the family really needs me? How do you figure out what that looks like from day to day and make sure that when you look back a year from now, 10 years from now, that it feels like it was the right decision in that moment?
Yeah, a lot of times for me, it's hard to do. It really is. But again, you have to be intentional, and you have to try to get the pieces in place that can assist you with that. You guys have a great staff that assists you all. So that will give you something, some kind of time away to do what it is that you need to do.
Like he's saying, it's something that's hard to do. It doesn't come very easy. That's one of those things that you have to be intentional about. And how you bring about that somewhat balance is really going to be based on you as an individual, the type of business you have, and how you involve your family. Because our girls, well, one is away at college, the other one is at home. Well, she's not just at home, but she's building her career in dance. But the thing is they have needs and they have wants, and their wants outweigh their needs. Oh, goodness. So we were thinking, okay, by the time they turn 19, they're going to pretty much be on their own, doing their thing. And they are pretty much on their own doing their thing, but they're doing it out of pocket. Right? So what Daddy does is he gives them the opportunity to be a part of the business. Because, they're really big on social media type thing. They're really computer literate. So certain things that we may struggle with a little bit, he will get them involved and have them to do this. I need your help with this, or I need your help with that. And of course, with both of them driving, he'll send them somewhere in a minute. I need you to run over here and do this and do that. So that way they're having a part of it and not feeling like all of your attention is focused on just here and left over here.
And that's good. I wrote down even before, as I was trying to get it out, invite the other person, the other parts of the family members into what you're doing. Because if you're the only one that's doing it, it seems like you're isolated in your own mind. And then you seem like the kids or the family, rest of the family is just over there, and you're doing all of this stuff. I'm doing all of this. I'm doing all of this. So invite them in. That does two things. That gives them a greater appreciation for what it is that you're doing, because they can actually see it now and not just see the check or whatever, the rewards of it, but they can see what it takes to get there. And that's huge for us.
It doesn't mean they always want to do it, but they do it because we ask. Yeah.
That is huge for us, just to invite them in.
What does it mean for you guys to live empowered?
Well, for me, it means without the relationship stresses of wondering where we are. The two of us, the kids are going to go. They're going to have their own families at some point. They're going to live their lives. but Miss Jennifer and I, we're going to be together, period. So being empowered is taking the D word, divorce or separation, whatever, taking that off of the table so that we can walk into who we are in our relationship. And she tells me all the time, she say, you know what? Thank you so much for allowing me to be who I am. Because we have a lot of, friends that say, no, she can't do that. No, she doesn't need to do that. But I've never told her. I want her to be who she is, and when she becomes a multi-gazillionaire,
baby,
then I'm going to be a house husband. I have no problem with that. I'm on the rest.
I like the way he...
So I think that's the major thing, really. It's just, allowing each other to be who you are and not being intimidated by who they are. My wife has so many great qualities. Some of them she doesn't even realize. And that's why I keep pushing her and encouraging her and doing, even right now, she's in the midst of launching another business. And, I'm excited for her. I really am. I mean, no holds barred, just go do it. And wherever I can participate, I will. And, and if I can't, then you got it. I know, so that's
She's
good.
always been my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
For me, living empowered means that we're removing boundaries for our dreams and our goals, and realizing that, if God gives us a dream, that means he's going to give us the means to achieve those dreams. So we have to take fear off the table. We have to remove the boundaries and just work towards those goals.
Okay. Before we close, I'd like to ask one last question. Okay. What's your one tip, golden nugget that you want to share with married couples? What's that one piece of advice that they could learn from you guys in your 43 years of marriage?
She said one.
Yeah.
You can share more than one. You can share more than one.
I think the biggest thing for us is, for me, is to not lose communication, effective communication. You have to be intentional about the communication, just as you have to be intentional about other things. Pay attention to your spouse, not just your own wants and your own feelings. That's like the 5 love languages. A lot of times we focus on what our love language is and what we want and what we desire. But your love language is one thing. Your spouse's love language is going to be something different. Yeah. So what you want to do is focus on that love language for your spouse so that they will feel loved, and they will focus on your love language so that you will feel loved. So when both parties are intentionally working on themselves for the sake of the relationship, but also focusing on each other, it makes a more solid blend.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think, again, taking, just the security of knowing that we're in this together, the long haul, that's it. There's no other you, there's no other me, we're just us. And that's it. When you take, all the rest of that stuff off of the table, then it's easier to focus on your purpose. And you can do it on purpose or in purpose. And this is mine right here. I focus on her, making sure that she's good. I'm trying to take care of her. We don't always get along. Again, communication goes up and down. That's just life. You don't even get along with the people that you work with every day, but sometimes we're more courteous to those people than we are with the people that we live with every day. So like Jennifer said, we have to be intentional about finding ways not just to show love, but we have to be intentional about allowing your spouse to love you. So, if you're not lovable, then how are you going to give love? So that's the thing. Like I said, I just feel like communication is a huge thing, but you want to be loved and you want to be lovable, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome. I appreciate, one thing I noticed just the first time meeting you guys, just your vitality and just like the positivity for life. So it's just very inspiring and yeah, just like to hear about like the hard work that you guys put into it. It didn't happen by chance. It happened on purpose. So thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Empowered Living. I hope today's conversation sparked some inspiration and gave you tools to live more intentionally in your family, work, and life. If you enjoyed our episode today, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an inspiring story or actionable takeaway. And if you know someone who would love this episode, share it with them, because living an intentional life is better when we do it together. Until next time, remember, the life you want doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. Let's keep creating it one step at a time.